Thank you for your purchase. Let the games begin.
Wow.
On the paper, I noticed an all too familiar logo. It was the bullseye with a pill in the middle, from the same dark web site I'd purchased drugs from.
So the dark web's a pretty crazy place, right? In this day and age, there's everything online. And the dark web is just a place to get everything that's not regulated. I'm sure you could get some regulated stuff too. But honestly, if there was a place that you needed to find information on illegal activity, the dark web would probably be the place to look. I know from stories and the things that I hear that people buy illegal weapons, guns, there's porn rings that are illegal, there's human trafficking and all of this stuff that happens. And most of the dark web I know is not like that, but I'm sure that information does exist on it if there is a place. Back in the day, crime was always done, you know, those gangster movies and stuff, how nobody would talk on the phone, everything had to be in person. All these mobsters, you know, would get together and speak face to face at these restaurants where they were in public, you know, kind of like seen but not seen, that kind of thing. And it got me thinking that it must be crazy this day and age how crime circles work. Like, they use the internet just like we do, except they have to do it on channels that they can't get caught with, or that, you know, that can't just be tracked, because the cops, just like they used to use vans to listen to conversations like that, now they use internet technology to track criminals and stuff. So it's a very, very strange day and age that we live in, where crime is that sophisticated, and police work, I guess, too. What happens when things backfire for the people that use the dark web? We've seen a lot of stories about things that people getting traced and tracked and doxxed and all this stuff. We're gonna react to a story called The Hunt by Dr. No Sleep today. Make sure to head on over to their channel and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and if you like reaction videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. Let's get into the animation. Dr. No Sleep. Oh, I like that animation.
And claim I'm a perfect person.
Okay.
Hell, I'm probably not even a decent one.
All right.
I used to party all the time, got involved in casual drug use, and obscene amounts of alcohol.
Right.
It's not something I'm particularly proud of.
Okay.
But with no family and few friends left to worry about me, I figured why not.
Okay.
I didn't have any plans past high school, so I might as well just enjoy the little time I'd been given on this planet.
Dang.
However, with the illegality surrounding drugs, it means there is some risk getting a hold of it.
It's true.
Usually one has to get involved with sketchy people in strange places.
Uh-huh.
Most of the time, the product is good. After all, the dealers need to keep their customers alive.
That's true, but at the same time, this is unregulated stuff. Like, have you ever thought about not eating food in your refrigerator because it's bad? Do you know, the uncertainty of consuming something that may make you sick can, like, when in doubt, throw it out is the old adage. So why would you consume something that you have no idea what's in it? You know, these drug sellers, like he said, these drug dealers have to keep their customers alive to keep them coming back for more. But what's to say they can't just get any new clientele? Heck, they don't check the stuff that they're dealing with and what's in it, you know? I don't know about all that, man. I would be totally sketched with that.
Still, just getting caught or buying fake stuff was a risk I didn't bother dealing with. Thus, I eventually turned to the dark web.
Uh-huh.
Imagine that. A place online where you can buy the best quality drugs with just a couple of clicks.
There you go.
And they send it directly to your address in a discreet package.
Wow.
It tends to be pretty safe. And people even rate the various pills. Full on with forums to describe each individual experience.
Customer reviews.
As time
like
progressed,
Amazon.
a few of the .onion sites would begin to vanish off the face of the internet.
All right.
Maybe the dealers quit. Or maybe the FBI shut them down.
Yeah.
No one really knows. So without a steady supplier, I had to venture deeper into the dark web in search of a new place to hand me my weekly fix.
Right.
I looked around on a few forums, but most of the posts were old, and a surprisingly large amount of the sites had been taken down.
You see, he said weekly fix. You know, at first it kind of puts it into the perspective of just partying, you know, but partying tends to lead to a lifestyle that will eventually lead to addiction. It's kind of scary to think about.
Of those that still remained up, most sold dubious, weak drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, my search landed me with a new recommendation. It was a place I'd never even heard about.
Okay.
But their product was fairly cheap.
All right.
As if that wasn't good enough on its own, their site seemed exceptionally professional. It might sound stupid, but if a site presents itself with a good-looking design, there's a bigger likelihood that people blindly trust them.
Right.
I never claimed to be smart. Yes, I was one of those gullible people.
Well, think about the
And
scam
it damn near
sites.
cost me my life. The website I found
You know?
didn't even have a name. It just displayed a logo that consisted of a pill in the center of a bullseye.
Okay. Oh.
It only contained a single product, but it alone had hundreds of top-rated reviews, all praising it in various different languages.
All right.
It didn't seem staged, and I truly believe they had been written by different people.
Where he's heading with this is scary to think about. I've been scammed on the internet before to a website that that we tried to buy a swing set off of. It turned out to be a scam website. They even used fake UPS tracking numbers to ensure that the product was delivered so that PayPal didn't, you know, charge them again. I requested that PayPal decline the charge and it kind of got denied. So we lost out on $100. Lesson learned. I try to use reputable websites now anytime that I can, and I dig a little bit deeper than I used to. Somebody that just looks for things like customer reviews, which a lot of people that run websites like that fake and stage to give the impression that other customers are actually buying these products, or they'll use limited quantities as a show to maybe create a false sense of urgency that you should buy it before they're out of stock, especially if it's at a cheaper price. It's a good way to get scammed. I can't see why drug sites on the dark web wouldn't do it either.
With that, I decided to order a weekend package, which held 3 pills. It was the cheapest option based on the amount of pills, and I figured it would be worth a shot. As promised, the product arrived the next Friday,
Okay.
with an ample amount of time before the evening would even begin.
All right.
I got ready for a night out on the town, and swallowed the first pill with half an hour to spare. Of course, I made sure the dosage was fit for my body weight and previous experiences, knowing the real risk of overdoses if I wasn't careful. Then, I left my house, ready to waste another night of my life, and darkness.
Uh-oh.
With that, my memories were shattered into a million incomprehensible fragments.
Wow.
Whether I went to a club or just passed out in the street, I didn't know. It was all beyond hazy, a mesh of colors and sounds that didn't convey any meaning. It has stolen even my most basic cognitive functions.
Wow.
The next thing I remember is waking up on hard, rough wooden floorboards. I was soaked in my own vomit, but the utter confusion of where I was overrode my pain.
So, first of all, that's extremely scary to think about. No telling where he's at, but judging from the title of the video, this is going to get pretty scary. Honestly, I have taken medicine before that I wasn't supposed to with mixing other medicines. And while it wasn't an illicit drug, I think it had something to do with muscle relaxers that I was taking at the time for an injury, with cold medicine that I was taking at the time for a cold. Okay, so these were both prescribed to me. Well, one was prescribed to me and one was over the counter, right? The muscle relaxers were prescribed to me. The over-the-counter medicine was the cold medicine. And I remember, I don't know if I ever told this story on video, but I remember taking these two and going out for food with my friend. And I remember being in, it was actually a little burger joint, like where they serve sliders. And I remember placing my order and telling him that I didn't feel real good and that I was going to go sit in the car. He drove naturally and I rode because I was on muscle relaxers. I wasn't driving, of course. So he sends me the keys, right? He gives me the keys and I go out to the car. And he said when he looked back through the window, he saw me like bobbing forward and backward, like trying to keep my balance and trying to shove the key in the keyhole like I couldn't find it. And then he saw me fall straight back, like the Nestea plunge, you know what I'm saying? Just like my body just went limp and my head hit the concrete. He freaked out and came outside, and I ended up getting a concussion from that. When there's certain drugs in your system, man, it's no joke. It can be really bad. I have a feeling that this guy's about to pay a huge price.
It was dark, which came as both a blessing and a cause for unrest. At least my eyes wouldn't suffer, but it added to the mystery of where I'd awoken. There wasn't much in the room, except for a cupboard, few moldy chairs, and a broken fireplace. The windows were partially boarded up and covered by dark curtains.
Like an abandoned
house. On the floor lay 3 strangers I'd never seen before.
Okay.
2 men, one significantly older than myself, and the other my own age.
All drugged.
And a young woman looking slightly older than a teenager. I rolled over to push myself up, groaning as I realized just how much my body hurt.
Wow.
Hey! I tried to call out, but my voice was too hoarse to produce enough volume. Once I was finally able to push myself to my feet, I took a peek out the window. We were in a forest, and the little room we'd awoken in looked like a hunting lodge.
Okay.
Whether I'd met these people during a party, or if I'd just stumbled into a drug den, I didn't know.
Wow.
Then the girl started groaning, finally regaining consciousness. She looked over at me in slight panic, clearly not recognizing who I was.
Right.
Then she took a glance at her surroundings and shot to her feet in fear. Where am I? Who are you?
No idea.
I backed away from her a bit, giving her enough space to calm down. Hey, calm down. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm Wilson. I just woke up here. I was wasted last night. I can't remember what happened.
Wow, man.
She thought about it for a moment, before realizing she couldn't recall anything from the previous night. I was just partying.
Yep.
I don't remember. What's your name?
Same thing.
Lisa. All right, Lisa. Do you know where we are?
So they were all targeted.
She shook her head. Her mind was as gone as my own. As we stood there trying to figure out what was going on, the oldest man started to wake up.
He was partying
He
too?
had salt and pepper hair, probably in his early 50s. I bent down to talk to him. But as he saw me standing above him, he grabbed my throat, rolled over, and started choking me.
What? Relax, buddy.
What the fuck are you doing in my house?
In his house?
He crushed my throat. The girl tried to shove him off, but she was too small compared to the massive man. Luckily, her effort distracted him enough for me to push him to the side, just giving me enough time to catch the air. Stop, I coughed out. I'm not trying to hurt you. The man quickly inspected his surroundings.
You're not in your house.
Immediately realizing his mistake. Where am I?
He thought he was in his house.
We don't know, I said, still out of breath. Why did you attack me like that? I thought I was at home. I didn't even leave the house yesterday. What the fuck is going on? He took a moment to gather his thoughts, rubbing the heavy sleep out of his eyes. He was a well-built guy for his age, clearly with some experience in fighting. Lisa went closer, ready to introduce herself. I'm Lisa, she said as she reached out her hand. Adam Morrison. Do you guys remember anything? We both shook our heads.
They all seem real cordial.
The fourth guy was still unconscious, lying face down on the ground. Adam went over to shake him awake, hoping he had some clues as to what had happened the night before. Hey man, wake up, he said as he shook him another time. He still didn't react. Oh boy, that's not good. He then proceeded to turn him over. Lisa and I immediately jumped back in shock as we noticed several bullet holes to his torso. He was dead, and probably had been for quite some time.
Wow.
In addition, there was a note stuck to his corpse. Lisa and I were speechless, but Adam didn't seem all that horrified. He just took the note off the guy and started reading it aloud. Thank you for your purchase. Let the games begin.
Wow.
On the paper, I noticed an all too familiar logo. It was the bullseye with a pill in the middle, from the same dark web site I'd purchased drugs from.
Wow.
What, you know this logo? He asked me. Yeah, I bought some pills from there a few days ago. I did the same, Lisa said.
What about you?
The man sighed. Guess we're all in the same boat then.
I'm calling it now. I don't think this man's a victim. I think he's one of the guys that were involved in this ring, this hunting ring, or whatever you want to call it. I think he's a bad guy. Only because he didn't react when he saw the bullet holes. Most people that would see something like that, first of all, they're all really calm for this situation. But most people would be shocked to see somebody, a dead body with bullet holes in him. Especially after not knowing where you are and waking up in a strange place. I would be beside myself in panic right now. And this dude's just like, you know this logo?
Whoever these guys are, they're not just drug dealers. What do they mean by games, though? Lisa asked.
I bet he can explain.
I'm not sure yet, but he was interrupted by someone knocking on the door. We all jumped back from the sudden noise, but none of us dared open up.
Okay.
3 knocks were all we got before a paper slid in under the door. Adam rushed to pull open the door, but there was no one on the other side. All that lay before us was a dense forest through which someone could easily vanish within a second.
Is Adam just
We'd
brave?
basically have to crawl to get through it.
Hard to say.
He picked the note off the ground and started reading. Dear users, thank you for participating in the yearly hunt. You have 24 hours to escape the forest, or you will be eliminated from the game. Hunters have been dispatched to track you down. Good luck. He handed the letter to me and I read it over again. Just like the previous note, it held the same logo. What the fuck are we going to do? Lisa asked on the brink of tears.
I mean...
Adam went from window to window, making sure the rotten blinds and boards were properly covering them up. We're going to get the fuck out of here. But first, you need to get out of the neon yellow top of yours, he said as he pointed to Lisa. What? We need to stay hidden. These bright clothes won't help.
Now you see, again, he's kind of leading them to make decisions to make the hunt more interesting. He may not necessarily be concerned with their well-being, you know? He just wants to make sure that whoever's hunting them this is all speculation, okay? I'm seriously just speculating here. But if he wants to make it a challenge, you know, he would put them in that type of stuff. Of course, I suppose that the hunters could have done this to them, or the people that run this website could have done this to them, but they might be trying to gain his trust just to orchestrate a better challenge too. I don't know, man. I don't trust this dude.
He went to the nearby closet and started rummaging through it. Within seconds, he found some old jackets and shoes that were wet and partially broken down over time.
Naturally.
Put these on. My clothes were already fairly dark, as were Adam's. He seemed experienced, which gave me a minor glimmer of hope. Are you sure about this?
Not hope.
Beats staying here and getting slaughtered.
Danger.
We didn't need any further convincing. Adam seemed to be the only one with even the faintest idea on what to do.
Now, granted, being the older guy, if he had experience in wilderness survival, and I don't mean it like some sort of weird college course that you went through or something. I'm talking about just like, for instance, my dad knows a lot about wilderness survival. He's been hunting and fishing all of his life. He's taught me, and as well as a bunch of family members, things about guns and safety and how to hunt, how to fish, how to clean your kills, you know, to survive, how to build fires and build camps and things of that nature. You know, when you go through a bunch of that and you get put into a position that involves surviving in the wilderness or survival in general, and you're put beside people that are not exposed to that type of stuff, city folk, for instance, not that that's a derogatory term, just to identify the fact that they haven't been exposed to this type of stuff, they are vastly more experienced with things like that. Just like the way that people dwell in cities or city folk can take a country boy and help them to survive against the crazy stuff that happens in cities. Who to watch out for, what alleys not to go down, which streets not to go down, the ins and outs of city survival or urban survival, for instance.
Because of that, we diligently followed him outside, keeping our heads low as we got ready to crawl through the dense forest. It was about midday, and still we couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. Even after a few hours passed, we still didn't see any of the aforementioned hunters.
Right.
Still, Adam kept telling us to keep quiet and to only step where he did. Lisa struggled to keep up, as she had replaced her high heels with shoes that were 2 sizes too big for her feet.
Oh gosh. Well, at least it's not
Suddenly,
heels though.
Adam stopped dead in his tracks, causing us both to bump into him. He'd noticed something on the ground.
Trap?
A tripwire. It was connected to spikes that would have emerged from the ground it triggered, killing whoever unfortunate enough to walk into the trap.
Wow.
How the hell did you see that? Don't worry about that. Let's just say I have experience with it.
So again, he could be trying to keep them safe, but I seriously doubt it. This is the ultimate type of thing to give you credibility with people. If you haven't bought their trust yet, saving their life from spotting something simple like a trap would give you extreme credibility with them. Now 100% of their trust lies with you. They basically listen to everything that you suggest at this point that's not outright ridiculous, right? So if he is leading them to something or whatever, he's got them right where they want them.
The day went on, and my legs were getting to the point of total collapse. Adam kept looking up at the sky, but the clouds had since fallen away behind a thick layer of dense clouds. Where are we heading? South, I think. I'm not sure. I was exhausted, out of shape, and hungry. Lisa didn't fare much better. She sat down to take a break, which seemed to annoy Adam. No sooner had she stopped moving before we heard a brief whizzing sound, as if a bee had flown by at incredible speed. What was it? I tried to ask. Get down! Adam screamed. Another whiz was heard, followed by a hole produced in the tree behind us. Splinters exploded from the hole through the air. Shit, shit, shit! I screamed as I realized someone was shooting at us.
Yeah!
Lisa got up to run in panic. Adam called for her to get down.
Bye,
It was
Lisa.
too late. Several more bullet holes were created in the scenery around her as she ran, none even close to hitting her. It was almost as if they weren't aiming at her.
Oh!
Instead, they just let her keep running. She didn't get far before running into a trap hole in the ground. There she fell about 4 feet onto several spikes sticking up from the ground.
God.
I didn't dare look down in the hole, but I heard her hopeless screams.
Oh my
We couldn't help her.
God.
Still, I instinctively wanted to get up and check on her, but Adam held me down. You want to die? He asked. Just stay close to me. We need to keep moving. We basically crawled away from the gunshots. But just like with Lisa, none of the bullets even came close to hitting us. It felt more as if they were hurting us in a certain direction.
Oh, man.
But I wasn't going to stick around and find out if that was truly the case. What about Lisa? I asked.
Lisa's
She's
dead,
dead.
dude.
Keep moving. We
There's,
spent minutes crawling before reaching a hill.
maybe I'm starting to reconsider my position on Adam. He may just be very, very, very rugged from military training. I just thought about that. People that would have experienced military training would probably be very versed in things like trap avoidance, wilderness survival, not flinching when they see dead people or victims, and knowing that if Lisa just died, especially not having any attachment to her, that you still need to focus on survival. You can panic and react later as long as you get out of this situation alive. That's customary military training, right?
Once we'd gotten halfway down, the shooting stopped. Adam pulled me to my feet and we kept running downwards. At the end of the slope, we finally found a clearing leading out of the forest.
Okay.
We got out! I almost screamed in victory. But then I noticed something in the tall grass. About a dozen darkly dressed men stood up, each wielding a rifle.
Oh my gosh.
They laughed at us as we retreated back into the forest. They didn't even raise their weapons. They just laughed and waved as we kept fleeing. One of them even gestured for us to keep running and held up 5 fingers to signify how much time we had left. We escaped from the open fields back into a forest
Dang.
constantly growing in density. There were no bullets flying by, but we both knew they'd follow us where we went.
Of course.
We needed to get out of the forest, but neither of us knew the way. Then we saw it. A mountain in the distance,
Okay.
only an hour's walk away.
An
But-
hour's walk.
The closer we got to the mountain, the darker it got.
You got to think too. In the woods or in the forest, you've got snakes, you've got insects, you have just the flora and the fauna, both the plants and the animals that could do a lot of damage to you. You know, really and truly, getting ripped up by briars, and if infection starts to set in from being dirty, it doesn't take real long to get uncomfortable and for your body to start having a hard time recuperating. First of all, you're getting tired because you're not used to that type of activity, because you just party for a living, right? Like he did, you know? You're hungry and you're fatigued. Truly fatigued. Plus, you might still have the drugs in your system from earlier. And your fear. Oh my God. What a recipe for disaster, man.
The clouds above were thickening, and the dense treetops blocked out every bit of light we could receive. Before long, it would start to rain.
Oh my
A prophecy
God, the weather
foretold
too.
by the howling wind that accompanied us on our journey. In the dark, I kept stumbling over roots sticking up from the ground. I told Adam to wait, but he couldn't hear me over the howling wind. As I got back to my feet for the third time, he was just gone. I kept wandering on alone, calling out for him.
Wow.
Then, I almost fell into a deep pit dug into the ground. Inside lay
Bodies.
several dozen corpses in various stages of decay.
God.
Then it hit me that the hunters wanted us to go here.
Yeah.
They needed us to see this pit, so we could know what awaited us when we inevitably lost the game. Adam, I called out. But through the developing storm, he couldn't hear me. I just kept walking, watching as darkness overwhelmed my surroundings.
All right, let me twist it again. If Adam was in on it, this would have been a perfect opportunity. He's in much better shape, and he knows eventually he could get away from him once he completely had his trust. None of the bullets were trying to hit them, meaning that if someone on your team was part of this deal, he would have known where the traps were. So if they were just shooting around and not taking the chance of hitting Adam, they would have been victimized by the traps sooner or later. I'm still not completely sold that Adam is innocent, y'all.
I started to hear twigs breaking around me, something stalking me almost in absolute silence.
A hunter.
Then something caught around my leg, and I came crashing down to the ground.
Uh-oh.
It was a tripwire, but no trap had been activated.
Okay.
I let out a mild sigh of relief when I heard someone call out for me. I looked
Adam.
to the side to find Adam nailed to a tree by the trap that had been activated. He'd tripped it before me, causing him to get impaled by metal spikes. He couldn't
Well.
move. He was too wounded.
We know
I
Adam's
found the
innocent
exit.
now.
But I got careless, he groaned. Oh, God, I said as I tried to pull the spikes out from his abdomen.
No.
It was a futile task.
Oh,
He was pretty much nailed to the tree. There was a cave in the wall behind me. Adam pointed to it with a trembling finger. Just go, he let out in merely a whisper. With that, he let out his last breath
wow.
and drifted off to eternal slumber.
Dang it,
Without
Adam.
hesitating, I started running into the cave. Once inside, I had to rely on my other senses to get through.
Why'd you have
It
to be
was
so
pitch
suspicious,
black,
Adam?
but the draft produced meant that there had to be an opening on the other side.
I had it out for him.
I felt my way along the walls as I heard footsteps behind me. I just kept going as fast as I could
There you go.
until I finally saw the light on the other end of the tunnel. Then I ran again, my lungs burning and my legs wobbly. I couldn't see any rain on the other
Fear,
side,
though,
but
motivates.
the storm might just be trapped on the other side of the mountain. There were footsteps following behind me, followed by chuckles that echoed through the cave. I had to keep going. I couldn't give up. Then I finally entered open space again, just in time for my legs to give in. I was out from the mountain, and in front of me laying nothing but empty, open fields. I tried to crawl, but I was too weak. I just turned around and saw 5 men in dark clothing come outside, each of them with a rifle. One of the men raised his weapon, ready to fire upon me. But one of the others stopped him. Stop, he
They
said.
made it out.
He found the way out of the forest. The hunt has ended.
Wow.
They chuckled again before returning into the cave. For them, it had just been a game.
Now, you know, even though it was a game, there's no organization on Earth that would have allowed that guy to leave. Right? Like, regardless of what, you can call it sport or whatever, but at one point you have to say, if this guy gets out, he can reveal our entire operation and ruin everything. I'm not buying it.
A hunt that they'd already gone through 100 times before. I was just a random victim that happened to purchase a drug off their website. It took me another 3 days to traverse the massive landscape and find the nearest town. But the hunters had at least let me live. Once home, I called the police.
There you
told
go.
them everything that I knew. Of course, the website had been removed by then.
Right.
And I couldn't for the life of me find the forest they'd previously chased me through.
Wow.
Officially, no one has gone missing because the people chosen for the hunt were people who wouldn't be missed,
Right.
including me.
Wow.
Thanks for watching.
You know, that was a really good story. It had me guessing the whole time. I don't know if it was the way the story was written made me distrust Adam the whole time, but he fooled me at the end. I think that's pretty well written, guys. Dr. No Sleep, wonderful animation. Make sure to head on over to his channel and subscribe to him, guys. And there's a couple other videos that are reacted to him from here. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.
Break it down.